Welcome to another edition of the Vine Rant, and today we've got a very, very special VIP guest with us, Peter Aceto. I don't know if I'm saying that right, Peter. Is it Aceto?
Well, look, I say Aceto, but real Italian people know it's really Aceto, but I say Aceto. So I can't give you a hard time for mispronouncing it because I don't think I pronounce it right.
Well, if you're okay, let's do the original. Peter Aceto, president of Mortgage Alliance Canada, with us. And given that this is the beginning of the year, 2021, we're going into this year with some fresh eyes and fresh perspective, despite all of 2020's sort of news. We thought it'd be great to sort of just start the year with a little bit of commentary on where we expect the broker world to go. And with Peter having come from a banking background as former CEO of ING Direct, which is now Tangerine, I'd love to get your perspective, Peter, of what your thoughts were when you were in that banking environment. And now that you've crossed the line and you're in the broker world, what sort of insights do you have for us on that?
Yeah, so, well, thank you for setting that up. I spent 21 years with ING Direct, Tangerine in Canada, the US, and back in Canada. I was the CEO for 9 years of Tangerine here in Canada, and also really got to know the Scotiabank guys really well after the acquisition. And I'll tell you that my perspective really has changed a lot. So ING Direct, Tangerine, very good at getting customers online, growing savings, and all those types of things. But we really relied on our mortgage broker partners to help us with the mortgage side of our business. We found it, no matter how hard we tried, very challenging to sell mortgages without any sort of face-to-face interaction. So my interaction with the mortgage brokers was very positive. I love that community. They really were the lifeblood and really helped us with the profitability of our business. We had a golf tournament every year, and it was one of my favorite things to do all year, is to actually get to know the brokers. Lovely people. You're right. I really come from a lender perspective, but those times were very memorable as well. But now I'm in the mortgage broker business, and from a very different perspective. So I've really learned already in a short time to really empathize with the challenges that brokers have. I mean, it's a very competitive market among brokers, but also competing with the banks and branches and all those types of things. The one thing that I've enjoyed the most is they are some of my favorite people that I like to work with in my life, which is entrepreneurs. Mortgage brokers are very entrepreneurial, customer-focused people, and I think it's one of my favorite things about them.
Awesome. Well, great answer. I mean, Tangerine was really kind of an innovator on the tech side. I mean, you guys were doing stuff that we're seeing now everyone else doing in terms of accessing online, trying to do an application online and automating a lot of those things. You guys were already doing that. So, where do you see potentially the world of mortgage brokering going, or just mortgages in general, with some of your perspective?
Yeah, so it's a great question. I'll tell you one, let's say, surprise or disappointment from that perspective is I would have thought we were much farther along as an industry from an automation perspective, from a simplification perspective. I think that the mortgage process from beginning to end for the end client, it's long, it's complicated. There's so many different things to do, and I would think that we have access, well, to simplify the process, but then also to bring technology that will really simplify it. And I think, Mortgage Alliance is very focused on that. We're sort of very excited about what the future holds and what we're working on, which is to really help a mortgage broker simplify the entire process for their customers. So it's a better experience for the customer, better experience for the broker, faster, and you can spend your time doing what you really want to do, which is meet new clients who need help buying homes or refinancing their homes. And I think we're going to see great strides in the next couple of years in this area.
Yeah, I agree. The analogy I always use is that I can, on my phone, order a Big Mac sandwich, and it'll be here in 30 minutes, and I've actually heard downtown Toronto has some robots that are bringing food delivery services within the certain area automatically. I think someone controls it through a remote. And, to do a mortgage application, we still need to, in some cases, people are still faxing us documents. We're still needing to scan everything. So there is a little bit of a transition that we're a little behind, but I know Mortgage Alliance is doing some great stuff to sort of automate as much as possible to create a better experience, because that's really I think what's going to continue to evolve this whole industry, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think we have some more work to do. I mean, we would admit that we have taken steps, but we're very excited about the new people that have been hired in the last year and some of the enhancements that we have in the systems today and coming in the next couple of months. But I completely agree with you. The mortgage process and the buy a Big Mac sandwich process, although one is more complicated than the other, it can be a lot simpler, and it will be.
I agree. Now, another question is, there was a CMHC study done that about 30% of Canadians use a broker. And, despite all the value that a broker could bring to the table in terms of more lender options, generally better quality advice, and I'm not putting any bankers down because I was a former banker myself, but, generally, like you said, brokers are entrepreneurs. So they have a very high desire to try and help their clients because they're paid generally commission. So they're very incentivized to make sure they find a solution that their clients enjoy. But given that there's more access to lenders and, again, generally more professional and better advice, why do you think that more Canadians aren't using brokers, in your opinion?
It's a great question, and I do scratch my head about it. I personally think the issue you just raised is just a gigantic opportunity for our industry. It's actually a gigantic opportunity for Canadians because I think they are not getting access to advice, which is essentially free to them, which will help them make a much smarter decision about their most valuable asset in their life, right? Which is their home. In Australia, for example, I think that like over 50% of mortgages are originated through a broker. And I'll be very honest with you, the Australian market's very similar to the Canadian market. We have 5 big banks, maybe 6. They have 4 big banks. There's a lot of similarities. I do think that there are a couple opportunities. I don't think mortgage brokers as a community have done a good enough job of making Canadians aware of what services they can provide and how much value they can actually add. I also believe from the outside looking in, and now that I'm in it, there's a real opportunity just to increase the level of professionalism in the industry so that we are seen as professional as a financial institution. And I think Vine Group really has taken a lot of leadership there, being very, very professional in their approach. But I think, from a regulated industry, I think self-monitoring, even monitoring our own behavior and training, if we increase the level of professionalism, increase the level of awareness, I think this is a gigantic opportunity. It is a complicated product that most people don't understand, and there is basically free advice out there. And so that's part of my agenda with Mortgage Alliance is to help really drive that number up and really help our brokers in the process.
Yeah, and I 100% agree. I think there's definitely some work, and even despite the number of years we've been doing this and the amount of clients that we've been able to earn their trust, there still is very regular conversations around, well, why should I work with you? I could just deal with my bank, pretty much. There's almost a bit of a reputational. You have to rebuild that reputation and remind clients that are new to the broker world that, this is everything I can bring to the table, and I think we have a little bit of work ahead of us. But I think that number is growing, though. I know despite it being around 30%, I believe it is growing. And Peter, you might know the math better than me, but I believe in Quebec, there's more individuals use brokers in Quebec specifically than the banks, unless I'm wrong.
Yeah, I do believe you're right. And Mortgage Alliance has, probably the largest, multi-play business in Quebec. It's funny, in my national banking days, meaning, I was a bank which had customers all across the country. Quebecers are a little different. They were always, in terms of how they behaved, and but in a good way from my perspective. I always found them to be the most loyal customers and very, very helpful to me when I was running Tangerine. But yes, I think it's absolutely true. They tend to use brokers more in that market than we do. So I think there's a huge opportunity.
Now, because it's January, we're very often talking about forecasting, things like this. 2020 was a very interesting year. I mean, when March hit, I don't think any of us knew what was going to happen. But I mean, I know I can speak for us. We actually had a great year. We grew quite well. We actually expanded into a new market. And there was some very interesting real estate transactions towards the end of the year for the whole country. Now, going into 2021, just high level, where do you think the real estate world or the mortgage world is heading? And what are some trends you think we'll see with banks? And again, any insights into that?
Yeah, I mean, we have I think Mortgage Alliance, over 2,300 brokers that I consider our clients, and it's been fascinating to talk to them. I mean, consumer preferences have changed so much. We're hearing lots of stories about people moving away from the city and those types of things. But when I think of 2021, again, I see a great opportunity. We're very fortunate to be in this industry. I see sustainable low rates, so you're going to have low rates for, I think, for the majority of the year. I continue to believe that property values are in general going to increase. I think, as you pointed out, consumer preferences are changing, right? I mean, people moving. My mother owns a house in Niagara-on-the-Lake, and her agent told her that her house is probably worth 25% more now than it was a year ago because people are moving out of the city. I think visiting branches, is becoming more challenging and difficult and restricted. So when I think of a broker where a broker can add value with low rates and rising property values and changes in consumer preference, I think 2021 is going to be a very, very busy year. Hats off to brokers who are generally face-to-face interaction type people, and the degree to which we have all adapted to technology and still grown the business, I think is really quite amazing.
Nice. Well, just to end off on a higher note, on a positive note, really, you've got a book called Weology where you talk about how everyone wins when we comes before me. And with this really crazy polarizing world we find ourselves in, what are some final thoughts that you can share, again, going into 2021 to make the most of your year?
Well, it's lovely this time of year to get the opportunity to answer a question like that. And we don't just talk about property values and rates and all those types of things. And for me, it's like a super easy answer. And it's really two parts. One is authenticity. So be real, and about care and empathy. And this applies in life and in work. This is the strangest, we've just lived through the strangest year we're probably ever going to live through. Life is busier than it's ever been. Stress is higher than it's been in a long time. And my answer to that question for everybody is to be honest, share with people how you feel, ask for help and be honest. Be there for other people. So whether it's your teammates that you work with, whether it's family, whether it's friends, whether it's your customers who need help more than ever, right? From anyone who will be willing to talk to them. And I think this is the time to put me aside and to be a we-focused person. And those would be my messages for everybody. And if you apply that to work or life and family or friends, I think we need that more than ever.
Great. Well, those are some very great, wise words. And again, Peter, I appreciate you being here and spending some time with us. All the best to you and your family. Going into 2021, and we look forward to growing together and really building something special here for sure this year.
Thanks. Thank you very much, and I really appreciate the opportunity.
Thanks again, Peter.